I'm Michelle Chambers. I'm the owner of Therapeutic Family Solutions. We are a mental health agency. We have clinicians that serve families and children. We provide individual therapy, and we also provide family and couples therapy as well. So I'm really passionate about what's familiar. So I know we hear boundaries on the internet. People wonder, like, what are boundaries? What do they look like? So you need to have good boundaries in place so people will know exactly how to treat you. Boundaries looks like I know what I'm familiar with, I know what my expectations are, and also I know how to access resources in order to make sure I can maintain my boundaries. So many times I know that we are all about what is familiar. So if our family had a certain way that they've done things, or we've learned a certain model, then we follow that model. But that may not always be what's best. So an example of that would be if I have a family that has experienced trauma. Trauma can look like just verbal abuse, like me having a parent or a caregiver or somebody in my family that is really harsh with their words, and that impacts me. So I think about it. I don't trust people as much as I should because of what I've been told in the past. And then I don't know exactly how to articulate the way I feel because of what I've been taught. So my boundary may be an unhealthy boundary, may be for me to argue with people, for me to be very defensive when somebody gives me some feedback, when in reality, I'm assessing the trauma threat incorrectly because of what I've been told. So again, what you're familiar with may not always be healthy. So what you can do is a self-assessment. So you can start with, okay, if I'm always having conflict with people, I'm always feeling really negative, I'm in a negative headspace, what are my triggers? Who am I surrounding myself with? Who am I engaging with? What does that interaction look like? So you can literally begin by something very simple, a journal. So just writing down what works for you, what doesn't work for you on a day-to-day basis in terms of communication. You don't have to do this all by yourself, right? So if you have a list and you feel like, oh, I'm stuck, like I don't know exactly what I need to work on. I have a lot of stuff written down, but I don't know what that means. That's what the therapist is for. So don't feel like you have to do all of this by yourself. I'm all about therapy for all populations, gender, creed, whatever. You should access a therapist if you're having a hard time understanding why you have conflict, a hard time understanding why you can't readjust to something, if you're having a hard time with your mood, or if you're having a hard time managing your anxiety. So going back to boundaries, right? You want to make sure that your boundaries are healthy. You can begin with a self-assessment, start to jot down some notes. Then you could access therapy. If you have insurance, contact your insurance panel and find out if you're covered, and that would be mental health benefits or behavioral health benefits. If you are covered, then you may have a copay, or guess what? It could be free, which is even better. But what happens is a lot of times people do not access that resource. They just assume that they don't have coverage and they don't utilize that resource. So I would say find out about what your coverage is if you have insurance. So remember, backing up, boundaries, self-assessment, making sure you understand what resources are available to you, and don't be afraid to utilize that resource. If we want to put a stop to generational trauma, if we want to start to heal an entire community, to heal our world, we have to understand what we need. And remember that being strong means that you're able to seek help from other people and you're not trying to do this by yourself. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate being able to share with my community. I am doing this work because I really care about healing people. I think I was called to do this work. So again, if you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like you don't have any resources, they are out there. You can access my website if you need to, therapysolutionsrtp.com. You can access Psychology Today and look at therapists that may be available. Again, that's psychologytoday.com. You can filter by therapist, but most importantly, start somewhere.